forms training likely originated from ancient martial dances when Chinese soldiers reenacted battles in a ritualistic manner. And also it is related to East Asian society with an educational doctrine based on Confucianism, which is very structural and with an emphasis on repetition. The most Chinese, Okinawan and Korean martial arts forms training is a solo performance by a practitioner. But the traditional Japanese martial arts and the modern offsprings, such as Judo and Kendo, forms training is more like a partner exercise, some pre-arranged movements, which could be also, which is similar to Western boxing or wrestling or MMA and so on, which, of course, nobody uses the term forms in this context. Now, the majority of the forms used in early Taekwondo during the 50s and 60s, they were Japanese karate kata, mostly Funakoshi's Shotokan karate kata. And all the combined early literature from this time, they show only one Chinese Kwanpop form, Kwanpop in Chinese Chuanfa. Now, most of the katas they originated from Okinawa, and Funakoshi renamed some of them, and also he developed some of his own forms, like for example the Tayoku kata, which are the beginner forms. I will talk about this a little bit later, more in detail. Now, some of the Koreans also they started to develop their own forms, and especially Jae Hong-hee, he developed his Changwon-hyong, and which he finished in the early 60s or around. And when Jae broke from the KTA in 65, and then he founded his ITF organization, the KTA did not want to use any longer his forms, and also they wanted to go away from the karate kata. So they started to develop their own forms. First the Palge forms, and then the Taeguk forms, and also at the same time the modern black belt forms. Here, this is combined early Taekwondo or Korean martial arts literature, and I collected all these books over the years from Korean libraries. Some of these books are very rare, so maybe only 1 or 2 copies left, but I copied them all. And it starts as 49 with Fangi's Basudo Kyobon, and the first modern Taekwondo textbook was really from Lee Jong-woo in 1972. Lee Jong-woo, he was very influential in the development of Taekwondo. He was maybe the most important after Kim On-young. He held also positions like vice president in the WTF, the KTA, and so on, the Kukibon. Now, all the existing early literature can be traced back somehow to the 5 founding Kwan. Each Kwan left a publication in some way, except Songmu Kwan. But No Byung-sik, he was very devoted. He was devoted to Funakoshi, and well, it can be seen by the name of his Kwan, Sangmu Kwan. It's a Korean pronunciation of Shotokan. Okay, only the Mu means martial. He edited this character. So Funakoshi's early kata or combined kata, they originated mostly from Okinawa. He gave them new names, and he developed some of his own kata, and most important, the Taiyoko kata, the beginner forms. Now, you can find this kata in his publication edition, Karate do Kyohan, was first published in 35 and then revised in 57 and translated in 73. Here you can see the forms in early Korean martial arts literature. Hwangi, these are all Funakoshi's kata. But he shows actually, he's the only one in all the combined literature who shows also a Chinese form, like Kwonpop form, but only 3 photographs. And here it goes all through the 50s. Sometimes they name other karate kata by name. Then here it's the 60s, it's all Funakoshi's kata. And only Jeong, he developed his own forms first in 58, he shows 5 forms, and the whole set was finished by 65, or a little bit earlier actually, and he shows all 20 forms at this time. Now, only then in 72, when Lee Jong-woo published his book, The No More Karate Kata, and he shows the Palgi Pumse, and then the Taeguk Pumse, and the modern black belt forms. Before here, they were mentioned only by name in Lee Jong-woo, but he didn't display them, so he mentions only the name. He displayed Funakoshi's kata also. The tables are available actually in my book if you're interested. At the end of the presentation I will tell you one more time. The terminology for forms, the Japanese used the term kata. The 2 Chinese characters for kata, they have slightly different meanings, but which is not so important. And the Korean pronunciation was hyong. And this term was never used by Chinese martial arts, only in the Japanese martial arts. And the Koreans, they adopted it. And but they wanted to go away from Japanese karate terminology. So also during the late 60s, they developed the term Pumse. And in 87, the Hangul, the spelling was changed. I'm not sure why, but it's not important. So now, the forms were changed, and of course also the terminology for the martial art until 1955, the different kwans used the terms Tang-Sudo and Gong-Sudo, which both are pronunciation is karate-do in Japanese. Sometimes some kwans used also Kwonpop, but Kwonpo is Chinese Chuanfast term, and it was also very popular in Japan. They often combined Kempo with karate, Kempo karate. Now, the terminology was also changed, what I mentioned already, like when they changed from Hyong to Pumse, and also the history, of course, was rewritten. Also the Japanese historical content was dropped, and then fictional history, which goes back 2,000 years in Korean martial arts, was invented basically. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the Taeguk Pumse. Taeguk is in Chinese Tai Chi, supreme ultimate. And Taeguk is related to Palge and Yin and Yang and other cosmological principles, including the I Ching, the book of changes. Now, the Taeguk, the symbolism is very recognizable in Korean culture, cosmology, and religion. And it is strongly related to Korean nationalism, because the South Korean flag, the Taegukgi, resembles here the Taeguk in the center, and which is surrounded by a simplified Palge. Well, Palge means 8, so the diagrams. It's simplified to 4 diagrams. Now, the term Taeguk was also very popular in the Chinese martial arts, such as Tai Chi or Tai Chi Chuan. And as I mentioned before, Funakoshi used it also for its beginner forms, the Taiyoku Kata. So the news of the term Taeguk was not very original, I think. Well, Yi Chung-woo, he claimed that he developed the Taeguk forms. Probably he rather oversaw the development. And according to him, the Taeguk forms mirror the principles of yin and yang, such as in attack and defense. He connects them to the 8 elements and various other cosmological principles. He provides a kind of mystical, esoteric narrative. Now, the Taekwondo establishment usually claims forms training, also Taeguk forms are preparation for sparring and also for self-defense. And I highly doubt this. Taeguk forms, traditional forms training, is not a realistic preparation for free sparring in Taekwondo and also not in other martial arts. There's an entire technical disconnect between sparring and this kind of forms training. And also the static nature used in forms training, it is all very unrealistic for real fighting, I think. Well, you can see, for example, in the punch, a sparring punch in Taekwondo and in any other full contact martial art resembles a boxing punch, where you try to project in the body weight. And this is simply lacking in the traditional punch and in forms training. The same is for kicking. The way they kick in Bumse, this is very unrealistic. Now, so let me talk about the value of the Taeguk forms. Now, there's an absence of impact and an absence of contact. And there's no actually hitting and being hit. And it is too static, and there's a lack of force projection. And you cannot learn timing by just doing forms. Now, also there's no emotional experience facing an opponent in some kind of free fighting activity. Now, let me come here to the conclusion. I think the mixed martial arts competition, they have shown very well how so-called traditional martial arts technique and training is very unrealistic for real fighting. And forms training as understood in Taekwondo and many other traditional martial arts is neither a realistic preparation for sparring nor for self-defense. And instead of a fundamental rethinking of the concept of forms training, the Taekwondo establishment actually doubled down on traditional Taekwondo, and they introduced forms competition, and now, well, this is supposedly aesthetic value of forms training. In reality, forms training, as understood in Taekwondo, is a very outdated activity, and it is certainly not a realistic preparation for sparring or real fighting. I know many of you will not agree with me, but I hope you have a very lively discussion after this presentation. If you're interested, you can find some material about this in some of my articles. Here I published one article in the Udo movement journal, the Origins of WT Forms, and you can find a lot of material, of course, in my book. The tables I presented here in this presentation, you can find in the appendix of this book. Yeah. So, thank you very much. one more time, I'm very sorry that I couldn't be there in person. Yeah. Have a lively discussion. Bye-bye.
So this time it's going to work exactly the way it was kind of supposed to. So now you have about 4 or 5 minutes to discuss in your groups, come up with some questions, and then we'll have almost 10 minutes for people who will answer. And it'll be whoever Dr. Gizwinka thinks should answer them, I'm guessing.
So go ahead with your discussion, and then some of us can answer the questions possibly. This book is for sale, and it's the premier book of Taekwondo for the last 8 or 9 years. So go ahead with your discussion.
Across the game there is how do you teach an isolated technique with balance? That's where I think people say more.
No, I don't disagree either.
Those never did.
All within body guys.
Patterns, but body guys, it seems I think it's okay to separate some places start with technical he goes through an apprenticeship for years as a resident. He's actually sort of taking some textbooks and practicing. And I think it's like in a presentation like this, there's a confusion over documents. Just back in the days, they did all the kind of things. So much different work.
I agree with all three of them. It is. And, there are other ways